I think that was probably in my early teens, early tweens, and I was up in Havelock with my family on our farm. I had spent the entire summer there, and for a little bit of how the farm works, you have to go out into the forest and get wood, to heat the house. So you got to go get the wood, chop the wood, and then bring it into the woodshed. So that's what we were doing. We had all the wood chopped and loaded up into the trailer that was hitched up to our tractor. And my grandfather decided he was going to drive the tractor and back it up to the woodshed. So, make it a little bit easy for us. Just dump the wood out into the shed and call it a day. And so he's backing up the tractor, and the tractor is probably about half a foot away from the door of the woodshed, and he stops it, and there's this piece of wood that blocks all of the rest of the wood into the trailer, and I, in my wiseness, decided to put my arm behind the tractor, between the tractor and the shed, and try to lift the wood out to let the rest of the logs fall. Of course, he takes his foot off the brake, and the tractor decides to roll back, pinning my arm between the tractor and the shed. So it was interesting. It was definitely scary. And the funny thing is, I don't remember the pain. I don't remember, what it felt like to have my arm in that situation. All I remember is the fear and the worry in my mother's eyes as she's screaming at my grandfather to move the tractor. And whether he just wasn't getting it or that he was just that calm in the situation, he was just like, okay. And he sat back down on the tractor, he started it up, and he moved it away. And I got my arm out, not a scratch. Not a dent, not a broken bone. I was totally, other than emotionally scarred, totally fine. And that was just that entire moment where I don't remember the pain, but I remember my mother's fear, and I remember the calmness of my grandfather definitely is something that shaped me. And I remember after, I'm of course crying and all in my feelings. And my grandfather he grabs my arm and he's like, "You good?" And I'm like, ah! Just making a mess of my face. And he just looked at me and he's like, "Stop crying. Don't cry. Crying makes you ugly." He's like, "Smile." And, apart from being a little hurt, I held to that, and to the point where that's what I said at his funeral when, I had to say my goodbyes. I reminded my family and friends to smile, and to smile through the pain, smile through the hardships. And, crying is definitely still a part of life, and it's a part of me. I will cry pretty easily. And I think that definitely a big part of what he taught me in that moment, in that memory, something that I hold on to even to today, is that even when I finish my crying, I have to smile, and I have to really find the joy and be the joy in life.
So many thoughts came to mind when you were just talking about that story. I think you said it. It's okay to feel. It's okay to cry. But you have the power to determine what life is after that. And you chose to smile. And your grandfather kind of rooted that in you. And I think that's a lesson, a life lesson to take. You can take that anywhere. That can apply to so many different things. No matter what type of pain that you face, it's up to you to pick yourself up and to make good of that situation. I think there's always a sprinkle of good in any situation that we face in life. And so I think it's super encouraging to know that you can determine the degree of pain that you feel in a situation, and you have the power to live after that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, in everything, like I said, I didn't have a scratch, right? And that alone is God. that wasn't something that anybody could have accounted for. I'm not Wonder Woman. I do not have super strong bones, okay? But, you know, in all of that, I think that it's so important, even thinking back to the actual funeral, you know, and all of that sadness, and losing him and in saying your goodbyes. When I said that to you know, a room full of family and people who were missing him, they laughed, right? And they smiled, and even after, it was smiles. And so in pain and in fear, there is a place for the sadness and for the scared, but there's also a place for the joy. You know, the Lord says the joy comes in the morning. So
weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. That is amazing. And all the better to know Christ, because he's the root of our joy. He's our source and our strength, and he's you know, the one that gave us that joy, and that joy can't be taken away. So amazing story.
Yeah.
Amazing memory. I think we can all take something away from that memory, and I thank you so much for sharing that.
Of course. Keep smiling.
Keep smiling.